Fantawild Group is one of the largest theme park operators in the world. With over 35 parks and at least 5 currently under construction, they have seen massive growth in the last few years. Fantawild is a large Chinese company owning their own animation studio with its own brands and IPs. They also own and operate several resorts. If they operated in the Western world, they would likely be included in the same conversations as Disney and Universal. But they don't. At least not yet. This video, like many others in my Chinese amusement ride industry videos, started at the IAAPA Expo in Orlando, Florida. Here, amusement park vendors from all over the world come together to sell and market their products. It was for this reason I was surprised to see Fantawild Group, a theme park builder and operator, not the type of company you would expect to be selling its products to other businesses. Upon grabbing this pamphlet from their booth, I figured out why they were there. Fantawild offers theme park design, research and development, ride manufacturing, turnkey amusement park design and construction services, and is open to joint partnership on theme park projects. This makes them a park chain like no other. Imagine if Disney or Universal offered to sell their design services and rides to other parks. Naturally, these services sound too good to be true, and one naturally has to question the quality of these parks and rides. So let's take a closer look at Fantawild, and you can decide for yourself if these parks and rides stack up. Fantawild's parks are split into 4 groups. The Classic series, which are parks themed to the classic amusement park experience. These include the brands Fantawild Adventure, Fantawild Dreamland, and Fantawild Water Park. Next is the Beautiful China Trilogy. These parks are themed to Chinese history. These include the brands Oriental Heritage Park, Road to the Modern Era, and Tomorrow's China. Many of these parks act as a hybrid between museums and parks, with many rides telling ancient Chinese stories. Think of it kind of like Volcania Park in France. The third group of park brands is the Local Cultures Features Parks. These are themed to features and themes found in local culture. Since almost all of Fantawild's parks are currently in China, these parks mostly have Chinese themes. However, they can have any theme related to a local culture. This type of theme park image and branding is popular, and large US theme park chains such as the former Cedar Fair have stated that they employ this same branding technique in their own parks to increase appeal. Current Fantawild brands under this group include Fantawild Asian Legend, Fantawild Yinsheng Kingdom, Fantawild Silk Road Dreamland, Chinese Idiom Story Park, and Fantawild Dinosaur Kingdom. The last group is the Fantawild Animation Parks. These are themed to the Fantawild animation IPs, such as the Ooyy Bears, which is one of the most popular animated series ever produced. These parks tend to be smaller in scale. Think of them kind of like the upcoming Universal Kids Resort currently being built in Frisco, Texas. With most Fantawild parks featuring some levels of integration with the brand's animated series, these parks are essentially taking sections from those parks and scaling them up into their own individual park. These currently include Fantawild Animation Park and Fantawild Ooyy Bears Park. These parks also have integrations in smaller venues such as malls. Think of the themed Legoland and Disney stores located in a lot of malls in the US. This is the same idea. Inside these parks, you can find a wide variety of different attractions, ranging from roller coasters from both Western manufacturers and Chinese ones, with more Chinese-made rides generally being found at the rides themed to Chinese heritage or history, as well as a lot of different dark rides. These dark rides are produced largely in-house by Fantawild and include tracked and trackless rides, flying theaters, dynamic theaters, advanced animatronics, and augmented reality experiences involving live actors. These dark rides are further enhanced by Fantawild's access to their animation studio, who helps provide them with detailed animations and effects for these rides that often tie into their IPs. Fantawild, unlike many other theme park operators, places a high amount of focus on live entertainment. They have recently won several IAAPA Brass Ring Awards for shows inside of their parks. They extend this live entertainment to seasonal events, which are advertised very heavily and do well for the chain. The chain puts a heavy emphasis on its Imagineering division, which operates much like Disney's equivalent, mainly designing rides and attractions for their own parks. Unlike Disney, they offer the services of their Imagineers to others. This group is in charge of the design of the company's dark rides. Fantawild is one of the world's largest dark ride creators, having made over 200 at the time of this video's creation. Many of these dark rides are impressive, featuring unique ride systems. I'm not a very knowledgeable person when it comes to dark rides, but it seems that Fantawild's rides are generally well received, and many compliment them for their use of effects and their quality. Some have stated that they dislike Fantawild as they feel it has copied the Disneyland format and applied it to their own parks. While this may be true, it's also true for nearly every park that has been built since Disneyland opened, and you don't hear people complaining that Kings Island or Universal are just Disney ripoffs. Disney does not own the format of a successful park, and Fantawild has produced several innovations, including the structure of their entire company, being the only company to offer complete turnkey amusement park design, planning, and construction. They're open to partner with investors in regions around the world to build parks that are complementary to the region's culture and needs. They also offer operations solutions, meaning an investor could open a theme park without them having to know the intricate ins and outs of the industry. As of this video's creation in early 2025, Fantawild has produced one park in the Middle East and helped design parks in Ukraine and South Africa. It's only a matter of time until a park is built in the West. Fantawild wisely has remained largely inoffensive and apolitical compared to other Chinese theme park companies. They've never ripped off a Western IP or claimed to be vastly superior to their Western competitors. This is in stark contrast to their competitors like the Sonic Group, whose CEO stated in 2016 that Disney made a major mistake building parks in China, as they would not be profitable in 10 to 20 years. As of this video's creation, it's been nearly 10 years, and the Disney parks, unsurprisingly, still do very well in China. Fantawild, in contrast, knows they're fighting an uphill battle, and has chosen to use their own strong IPs, as well as the power of local culture, to inspire visitors to their parks. This has resulted in success, as seen in their expansion. Since 2020, they have opened 11 parks, with 5 more under construction. Fantawild seems to have found a successful formula. By visitor count, in 2018, they were the 5th largest theme park operator in the world, trailing behind only Disney, Universal, Merlin, and OCT Group, another Chinese theme park chain. These numbers would likely look different now with a merged Six Flags and Cedar Fair, but Fantawild still makes up a large number of amusement park visitors worldwide. Outside of their studio productions and theme parks, Fantawild also operates their own hotels and resorts chain, which appear to be of similar quality to their Western counterparts. This is also a great resource that could help them become successful in the West. Western parks in the last few years have seen how huge of a profit center resorts can be. This has caused massive expansions and plans for resorts to be built at existing parks. With Fantawild already being experienced in this area, a Fantawild property in the West has the potential to be a huge profit generator. Now, obviously, this is all based off the assumption that Fantawild could overcome the cultural barriers associated with doing business in the West as a Chinese company. Nearly all of their previous projects have had a Chinese theme in some way. This is, of course, due to the location of their current parks. With them advertising that their local cultural heritage parks can exist anywhere, it will be interesting to see if the Chinese company is able to successfully incorporate local culture into one of their parks overseas. There will likely be some growing pains, but if they pull it off, these parks could be a huge hit, potentially competing not only with regional parks, but with big players like Disney and Universal. Obviously, this will be a long process, and there will likely be a few mistakes made along the way. That being said, in the next 10 to 20 years, I believe it's likely Fantawild will have an extensive number of parks outside of China, with potentially a few in the West. Thanks for watching this episode of Chinese Coasters and Chinese Amusement Park Industry. What topic do you want to see covered next? We'll see you next time.